Heading into this game and matchup against Georgia, I didn't think Ohio State had too much of a chance at all, but now after hearing this news, I don't think they have any chance. Maybe, and this is a maybe, you could say they have a slight chance, but that's all I can give them. I kind of feel like everybody would agree with me on this, including Ohio State fans, going into this Georgia game against the big bad Georgia team, easily the number one team in the country. You had to have all your weapons to even make it a ball game. And even at that, if Ohio State has all their players, they play their A+ game, they still more than likely would lose. I'm sorry I'm laughing, but you got pushed around by Michigan, and make no mistakes about it, Michigan is a physical football team, but if you got pushed around by them, what do you think Georgia's going to do? I know we put the SEC on this pedestal where they're the best conference of all time and they're physical and just overall better than all the other conferences, but it's true. Nobody's going to disagree with the SEC being the best conference, but some people would say they're not as good as many people try to make them out to seem because Alabama and Georgia and LSU that one season, they carry the conference. And I can see where you're coming from, and I'll give you the benefit of the doubt if you want to try to make that argument. However, the one thing you can't argue, the one thing you can't take away from the SEC is the physicality. The trenches are everything. For example, look at Georgia this year and last year. They have a mediocre quarterback, yet they're my bad. They're the best team in the country. Why is that? Because they dominate in the trenches. Whoa. Hold on. I know what you're sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, what in the crap does this have to do with anything? Well, my friend, I'm glad you asked that question because what have I told you this entire season and what's been proven to be true? Ohio State is soft in the trenches. When it comes down to short yardage situations on 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 4th and 2, they're one of the worst teams in the country. They're soft on the O-line, and they're extremely soft on the D-line. So for Ohio State to even have a fighting chance in this game, they were going to have to win it with talent and talent alone. And the craziest part about that is that could actually happen. That's how talented this team is. Unfortunately, though, it was announced about a week ago that one of, if not their best wide receivers, Jackson Smith-Njigba, he is not going to be playing in the game, and he's going to the NFL. It was kind of controversial. We'll talk about that a little later. And losing him alone, yeah, it's a big loss. But now heading into this game, it was announced less than 24 hours ago, they're losing another star player. Yeah, it's not looking good. We're going to talk about that. And also, we got to talk about the new reports coming out about Georgia's star player. It's looking like he's going to be a top 5 NFL draft pick. Apparently, he's having some character issues. For those of you that don't know who I'm referring to, I'm talking about the beast, and this guy's a beast. That may be an understatement, Jalen Carter. According to Todd McShay, a lot of NFL scouts are concerned about his character issues. We're going to talk all about that. But real quick, we're on the road to 260,000 subscribers before Christmas. We are super close to 260K, so if you like college football content and you're not subscribed, which many of you aren't, consider joining. It's 100% free to join. It doesn't hurt you. And like I always say, we're just a bunch of guys and girls that like talking about football, and that's the best part about this community. We would love to have you a part of our community and continue to grow it. If not, that's cool too. All right, Matt, blah, 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 shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. Oh, yeah, by the way, I know this is kind of random, but for the people in the Southeast, like Louisiana and Mississippi, please stay safe out there. I've heard all the bad weather going on. Apparently, some tornadoes are popping up here and there. I just want to say I'm thinking about y'all and hope everything's all right. Anyways, continuing along, we got to talk about this briefly to kick off things. Your Biletnikoff Award winner, Jalen Hyatt, the outstanding wide receiver for Tennessee, he's not even going to play in the bowl game. He's going straight to the NFL draft. He's going to sit it out. And what most people call, he's going to be labeled as a quitter. I don't label sitting out these bowl games as a quitter. If you do, I understand where you're coming from. It's always a controversial topic, and I'm here for it, just like this comment says. And just like that, bowl games, even New York 6 bowls, don't even matter anymore. Both orange teams have so many folks leaving or opting out. College football is forever changed. Yeah, you're dang right on that. You're spot on right with it. I've tried telling you the past 2, 3, 4, 6 weeks, it doesn't matter if you're playing in the Cotton Candy Bowl, the Honolulu Hawaii Bowl, the Chattanooga Water Aquarium Bowl, the Cheez-It Bowl, the Orange Bowl. It doesn't matter if you're playing in the Rose Bowl. If you're not playing in the college football playoff, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter on the grand scheme of things. You know why? Because there's nothing on the line. There's zero to play for. Some people are going to try to argue with that and say, yo, Matt, I get not playing in a meaningless bowl game, but a New Year's Six Bowl, that's a big achievement. I strongly disagree with that because even for schools like Tennessee, it's championship or bust. It is, trust me. I grew up in a city that's located in Alabama and Tennessee. I've talked to plenty of Tennessee fans all throughout my life. Even with Tennessee being complete dog crap for the past 15 years, it's championship or bust, and most teams, your Power 5 teams, they believe that. For example, a team like Utah or a team like Kansas State, oh yeah, New York Six Bowl, That's amazing. But for your teams and programs like Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, Ohio State, Michigan, Clemson, and I could continue to go on, it's championship or bust. I agree 120% with Jalen Hyatt opting out of this game, and I'll explain why. You gain nothing. Let me repeat that. You gain nothing whatsoever from playing in this game. Let's say, for example, he has 200 receiving yards against Clemson. That's not going to make him go up higher in the draft. These scouts, they've seen enough. On the flip side, and I bring it up all the time, but it's a great example. I told you last year, Matt Corral, if he gets hurt in that bowl game, he's going to go from a late first-round pick to a third-round pick, and that's exactly what happened. And oh yeah, by the way, it cost him $3 to $4 million. Same exact argument with Jalen Hyatt. If he gets hurt in this game, he's going to cost himself $3, $4, $5 million. So you see where I'm going with this. From a player standpoint, not a fan standpoint like me and you, but a player standpoint, the risk to reward ratio is not even comparable. It's 100% risk and 0% reward. It is nothing more than a business decision. Why would anyone play in a meaningless bowl game? And yes, that's right. I'm calling a New Year's Six bowl a meaningless bowl game because it is. There's nothing on the line. As competitors, as fans, why do we watch these games? For stakes. We want stakes online. That is natural human instinct. We want something to be on the line. It's the same reason people gamble. There's nothing on the line in these New Year's Six bowl games, so until the playoff expands, it's going to be this way. Moving on to our next topic. This one is really strange and odd because I haven't heard anybody say anything about this, but Todd McShay, which is a reliable source, he said he believes Jalen Carter has some quote-unquote character issues that may end up affecting his draft stock. Let me make this clear. Do I know Jalen Carter? Do I text Jalen Carter? Have I had a phone call with Jalen Carter? Do I hang out with him? No. So for me to tell you this is a blatant lie and I know for 100% fact Jalen Carter has zero character issues, that would be me lying. The truth of the matter is, I don't know the guy, so I really can't tell you if he has character issues. You see what I'm saying? On the contrary, though, here's what I can tell you. I got a lot of sources in Georgia. I got a lot of sources around the SEC, and I made a couple of texts and phone calls before I decided to make this video and speak on it. And they told me they didn't even know what this guy was talking about. And also from the standpoint of a person who has watched every single one of Georgia's games this year, I haven't seen anything that would even kind of give me the sign that he has character issues. And I know what some of you are going to say, well, Matt, this is off the field character issues. Of course, on the field, he's going to look different. And I disagree. Because if you watch sports, you know what I'm talking about. You can tell if a guy's got character issues even by the way he plays on the field. It's the same thing with Johnny Manziel. The cockiness, the ego that Johnny Manziel had off the field, it would show on the field at times. With Jalen Carter, I haven't even heard anything about that, and this is the first time I've heard anyone bring it up. Once again, maybe he does have character issues. I'm not calling Todd McShay a liar, but I have no idea where this came from. All I'm going to say is that caught my attention. Hey, I don't know. Maybe it's a slow news day for Todd McShay, and he just needs something to talk about. To all my Georgia fans, I know we got a bunch of you watching this. Fill me in the comment section. If you know anything about it, let us know. But finally, though, moving on to the main topic of the main encore, the main reason you clicked onto this video, we got to talk about the Ohio State. Oh man, this is about to be interesting. This current Ohio State team is so, and I mean so intriguing to me, and I'm going to explain why. If I wanted to come up here and say this Ohio State team, they're soft, and it's been an embarrassment, and Ryan Day's a joke, and they don't even deserve to be in the playoff, a lot of you would agree with me on that. On the flip side, if I wanted to come up here and say, yeah, they might have gotten embarrassed in that Michigan game, but they're arguably the most talented team in the country, and they can play with anybody on the country on any given Saturday, a lot of you would also agree with me on that. You can make a legit case and argument for anything you say about Ohio State, because you have a large sample size this year where they've looked really good at times, but you also got a large sample size where they've looked really bad at times. And for that reason right there alone, that's why this team intrigues me. I can convince myself right now that this team has no shot against Georgia. I can also convince myself that they have a great shot of beating Georgia. I'm not crazy, it's just cold hard facts. And the reason I've given them the benefit of the doubt this year, and the reason I even picked them to beat Michigan and destroy Michigan, is because how talented they are. I told you guys before the Michigan game, I knew they were going to get out coached. However, I thought their talent would overcome that. Ryan Day's a flat out joke and he's got to be fired, but that's a different conversation for a different day. Getting back on track here, when you look at the X's and O's and start to compare these players with Georgia and Ohio State, kind of an even matchup. Or not just kind of, it is an even matchup. It's a toss-up. Ohio State's got the better quarterback, they got better wide receivers, and you could argue they got just as, if not better, running backs. For Georgia, the obvious, they got the better O-line, they got the better defensive line, and they got the better total defense. The only way I thought Ohio State had a single, and I mean a single chance of even competing, not even winning the game, but competing in this game, is if your talented guys made talented type of plays. Does that even make sense? I don't know. It made sense in my head. Let's roll with it. You get what I'm trying to say. Your best players for Ohio State, they got to show up and show out. And may I remind you, that's not even just to win the game. That's just to compete in the game. If Ohio State's best players don't show up, if CJ Stroud has a C+ game, if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a B- game, and your running backs, whoever that's going to be, has a B- game as well, you have no shot. Because we've seen it time after time this year. Yeah, Georgia, they may play down to competition, but when it's time to show up against the big boys like they did against Oregon, like they did against LSU, and all the big-time games, Georgia has embarrassed people. I want y'all to wrap this around your minds. They embarrassed Oregon by 50 points, and they embarrassed and humiliated the #1 team in the country at the time in Tennessee. I know Tennessee, they hit some bumps in the road late in the season, but they were really good this year, so don't chalk that up as a average win. It was a great win. I say all that to lead me into this. Ohio State was really hoping, and most people thought, they was going to get their star wide receiver Jackson Smith-Njigba back for this game. He's been dealing with a hamstring injury all throughout the season, and with the rest he's had, it looked like there was a great shot of him coming back. However, as most of you know, and we've already talked about this, so I'm not going to dive too into detail. Long story short, he's foregoing this game and he's going to the NFL draft. There's a lot of controversy going on. Some people think he's just opting out because he's soft or whatnot, blah, 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 blah. You can form your own opinion. I'm not getting into that talking mess. So that right there alone was kind of like, okay, dang, that hurts a lot because I don't care what you say. You're not beating Georgia with just Marvin Harrison Jr. In fact, you couldn't even beat Michigan with Marvin Harrison Jr. And the reason I'm laughing is because it pisses me off. Whoever's calling plays for Ohio State's got to be fired because against Michigan, they should have thrown the ball to Marvin Harrison Jr. at minimum 17 to 20 times. I don't know who calls the plays for Ohio State. Maybe it's Ryan Day. Maybe it's offensive coordinator. I can't remember his name at this moment. But the problem they have on offense is they try to spread the ball around too much. It's almost like they want to make everybody happy. When in reality, if you got a guy like Marvin Harrison Jr., who cares about making people happy? Throw him the ball every single play. And I know what some of you are saying, Matt, you can't do that. And here's my counter argument. Why not? Alabama did it last year with Jamison Williams. Alabama literally only threw the ball to 2 players last year. Jamison Williams and John Mechie. That was it. 2 guys, and more times than not, it was just Jamison Williams. With all that being said, the new breaking news that came out less than 24 hours ago is that Ohio State star running back, one of the best running backs in the country, Travion Henderson, he's not going to be playing in the game either because he's going to have foot surgery. And just like this Ohio State fan said, great, no JSN, no Henderson, what's next? No Mine and Marvin? I'd be surprised if we don't lose by 50. Another comment, and by the way, these are from Ohio State fans. We are so cooked. Georgia may be up 30 at halftime before they put the walk-ons in. Whoa. Hold on. I know what some of you are sitting there saying. Yo, Matt, yeah, we may be losing our running back and wide receiver, but does it really make that big of a difference? And yes, it does, at least in my humble opinion. One thing I've learned in sports is to beat the best, you got to have your best players playing at their best. To beat teams like Georgia, to beat teams like Michigan, your star players have got to show up and show out. And everybody knows this, whether you played high school football, community college football, football in college, or football in the NFL. When you are an underdog and a big, and let me emphasize this, a big underdog at that, your best guys have got to show out. But here's the problem for Ohio State. Your best guys aren't even going to be playing in this game. Heading into this game and matchup against Georgia, I didn't think Ohio State had too much of a chance at all. But now after hearing this news, I don't think they have any chance. Maybe, and this is a maybe, you could say they have a slight chance, but that's all I can give them. I think it's another huge loss, but that's just me. Let me know your thoughts down below. But